Second, let me do some settings. Yes. Okay, very well. Oh no. Yeah, okay. You all can see the screen. Okay, good evening, Atif. Atif has also joined in. How are you?
Fine, sir. How about you?
I'm good, I'm good. So we are dedicating today's class to go over human health and diseases and the chapter and questions from the chapter. Okay. The neat questions that has come. Okay, so I have taught you this chapter. So I would like if you people do the talking a little more than me today. So let's do this thing. We will go over important things on which most of the question are based, because when I teach you in the class, I teach everything. Okay. So I'll go over the topics which are the most important, and then some of you will explain that, whatever you understand on the topics. Okay. Okay, so we went through I see. We went through pathogens, bacteria, fungi, and so on. Okay, so diseases caused by bacteria was Salmonella typhi. So most of these things are factual. So this whole chapter is mostly factual. So in Salmonella typhi, which causes typhoid fever, you can understand by the name, you know. So for every pathogen, I think I told you, you have to understand few things like scientific name, what it caused, mode of spread, symptoms, and if there is some very severe symptom that is written in red. Okay, so we have done that for I think and the diagnostics, of course. So diagnostics are one of the things from which a lot of questions comes, and I think what Fatima said, that sometimes the question are not directly from NCERT. Most of those are either symptom based or diagnostic based. Okay, we'll see some of those questions. Okay, so who's going to tell me about the diagnostics for a Salmonella typhimurium, which is known as the Vidal test? So what is a Vidal test? Quickly, Fatima, let's start with you. You understand Vidal test?
Yes, so it is an antigen antibody test,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Which was so you're right. So the name Vidal was the person.
sorry,
Yeah.
where the presence of is diagnosed by blood tissue,
Presence
like
of what?
the presence of the bacteria.
Yeah, presence of the antigen actually. As you yourself said, it is a antigen antibody reaction test, right? So if bacteria has kind of infected a tissue, that bacteria will produce some toxins or some chemicals, which in this case can be called as the antigen. And for that, because these antigens are proteins, we make antibody which binds on this antigen, and that we detect in that test. And if it binds, this binding will lead to agglutination, like clumps of this protein will be formed. Does that make sense, everyone? The concept? Yes, no? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Very well. Okay, so that we did for, so we are not going over symptoms, because I'll give you, after we have went through the chapter, I'll give you some time to just go over the facts. And protozoa, yes, Plasmodium. So this is a major concept from which many questions have come. So who's going to explain this diagram? How about you, Rifat? Rifat, are you there? Are you there, Rifat? Okay, yeah. Rifat, I can't hear you if you're speaking. I think Rifat is having some issues with the microphone or something. She's unmuting and getting muted again. Okay, Donna, how about you?
Sir.
Yeah.
Should I talk
You
about
can.
malaria or just the plasmodium cycle?
Yeah, so malaria is the disease caused by Plasmodium. So the cycle itself is the disease. So you can, for the Q, you can start from here.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. First of all, the plasmodium, it requires two hosts to complete its life cycle, one being human and the other mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
The infected female Anopheles mosquito transfers the infectious form of plasmodium, which is the sporocytes, to the human body through bite.
Yeah.
That is the first picture. And the second one is the sporocytes reach the liver through blood and where they multiply. This is followed by their attack on red blood cells, resulting in the rupture of RBC.
Yeah, so liver becomes the site of first infection.
Yes.
So a question that has come is, which is the first organ or which is the primary site of infection for malaria? So RBCs, liver, both will be in the option. Mostly people choose RBC because they know that this rest of the part. What they don't know is that multiplication happens in, sorry, um, first infection happens in liver.
Liver.
Yeah. Okay.
Then the ruptured RBCs release a toxin, which is called as hemozyne, which is responsible for the high recurring fever and chills and shivering.
So it is released by the plasmodium itself. Okay.
Okay.
When RBC ruptures, this also comes out. It's not formed by, the hemozyne is not formed by RBC. It is formed in RBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next one, oh yeah. Sexual stages develop in our red blood cells, from where the parasites enter the female Anopheles mosquito when they bite an infected person.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the body of the mosquito, they fertilize and multiply in the stomach wall.
No, but what enters the mosquito? Is it the sporozoites that enters the mosquito?
No, the gametocytes.
Exactly. So mosquito gives in the body sporozoites, but takes from a infected person gametocytes.
Yes.
It's not like sporozoites are not going in; they are going in. But what is more important is the gametocytes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in the body of the mosquitoes, they fertilize and multiply in the stomach wall.
Mm-hmm.
And now the sporozoites are now stored in the salivary gland of the mosquito, and it will be transferred to a human body by another mosquito bite. And after entering the human body, the events are repeated.
Correct. So these gametocytes kind of fertilize, again make sporozoites in the salivary glands, and then again the cycle continues. Very good. So anyone, any doubt? Okay. So let's move forward. This was one important aspect of this chapter. Yeah. Another is, what is the difference? So the question is, Plasmodium is also a two-host organism, pathogen. What is the difference between Plasmodium and Entamoeba histolytica? Atif. Both are protozoa, parasitic protozoa, but what is the difference?
Yes, sir. Entamoeba histolytica causes amoebiasis, that is amoebic dysentery, and Plasmodium causes malaria.
Right, but in terms of host pathogen interaction, what is the difference? So it also needs housefly, right? And it also infects humans. It is carried by housefly. Plasmodium is carried by a mosquito. It infects humans. But what is the difference?
The housefly like infects the food and water. So when the humans intake the food, that's when they get infected by entamoeba.
Yeah, so that could be one way of, but yeah, you're right. That is one way of getting the infection, right? For that matter, why do we need houseflies at all? Do we need housefly for this kind, for Entamoeba histolytica's infection?
So houseflies cannot inject us into the parasite into us directly.
Yes. So the difference that I'm asking is not about the vector or the disease. Both the diseases are very different. Both the pathogens are also very different. I'm talking about if we look at Plasmodium and Entamoeba, they look similar in terms of the way they infect. They reside in some other host, or I should say carrier host, and then they infect some other host, which is human. But there is a difference that we talked about.
Is it the mode of transmission?
It is actually the dependency of the parasite. Plasmodium is a strict two-host parasite. It needs both the hosts to complete its life cycle, as you could see here. Okay, the mosquito host is as important as a human host, because inside the mosquito host also, inside the salivary glands of the mosquito host, the life cycle, the sexual life cycle, which is fertilization and formation of sporozoids, takes place. If they don't find mosquito, this whole cycle won't be able to continue. Whereas in amoeba, I have written here that housefly only act as a mechanical carrier. The pathogen is not dependent on housefly for its life cycle. So people can also get entamoeba infection just from direct water. Okay, drinking a contaminated water is enough to do the infection. Housefly just act as a mechanical carrier. It is not necessary for this. So Entamoeba histolytica is just one host parasite. To complete its life cycle, it just depends on one host, which is human. For its transmission, it depends on housefly, but not solely, not completely. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Everyone understands that? Will you remember this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, great. Another important aspect, so I think for Ascaris and filarial worm, I'll give you time to go over it. Another important concept was vaccination and immunity. Yes. So who's going to tell me about what is immunity, immune system, what is innate immunity, and what is adaptive immunity? So let's talk about immune system and innate immunity, first part only. The ones who have not spoken. So Hiba. Hiba, would you like to talk about immunity? I cannot hear you, Hiba. Can anyone? I think I can see that you are unmute, but you're not audible. Is Hiba audible to anyone? No, okay. Okay, so Fatima, let's go to you.
So immunity is the ability of an organism to defend itself from like a disease. And innate immunity is present from birth. We inherit it from our parents. It has different there's different types of innate immunity. So the first one is physical barrier, like
There are
skin and
different types.
mucus.
There are different types of the barriers which
Yes.
form the innate immunity. Innate immunity is just one type, innate. There are different barriers, 4 different barriers that make this immunity in the body.
Okay.
Yep.
So physical barrier, which like skin or mucus, where they don't allow the pathogens to enter the body. And then there's physiological barrier, which is like acid in the stomach, saliva and mouth, and tears from eyes, which prevent microbial growth. And then there's cellular barriers, which is like WBCs, and monocytes and macrophages, and which destroy the microbes. And there's cytokine barrier, which which are proteins which are produced by virus infected cell, which protect the non-infected cell from further infection.
Correct. So cool. Okay. Atif, would you like to take on acquired immunity?
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
So acquired immunity is the immunity that is acquired by the body during life. It's not present during birth, and during the progression of life, the immunity is acquired. It is pathogen specific and it has a memory. So the way this acquired immunity works is when the pathogen first infects our body, there's a primary response which is a low intensity and a slow response. But the body remembers this pathogen, so when it encounters for the second time or for further times after that, there is a secondary response also known as anamnestic response, which is highly intense and it is also faster. The disease gets cured more quickly. And it is carried out by 2 special types of lymphocytes, that is B lymphocytes, which is produced in the bone marrow, and T lymphocytes, which is produced in the thymus. The B lymphocytes produce antibodies and the T lymphocytes help these B lymphocytes to produce antibodies.
Yeah. So what does T lymphocytes directly do? What do they do? Just help? They also must be having some role, right? Anyone? What is the direct function of T lymphocytes?
When a person gets a transplant, they help
Okay. Do they help really?
they try to see if it's going to function or not, like rejected or not.
How do they see if they are going to be rejected or not?
So they differentiate between self and non-self, like if it's foreign or not.
So what is a transplanted tissue? Is it self or non-self?
Non-self, it is from another human body.
Okay. So what these T lymphocytes will do to a non-self tissue?
They will attack the cells.
So how are they helping? In case of transplantation, do you think they are helping?
No,
Fatima?
Not really, but
Mhm.
it's on like kind of.
So actually in transplantation, all we have to worry about is this T cell mediated immunity. It is called cell mediated immunity, right? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
So basically the T cells kind of is causing problem to that transplanted tissue. So this is the one responsible for, so let me write it here. Please note it down. They undergo cell mediated immunity. Okay. And this is responsible for graft rejection. Okay. So our body rejects the transplanted tissue because of active T lymphocytes. So after transplantation, we need to give immunosuppressants that helps in um, kind of you can say dampen the function of T lymphocytes or keep them silent. Is it clear, everyone? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Cool. So antibodies are done. Yes. So remember I told you T lymphocytes required for the cell mediated immunity. Okay, cool. Antibodies, I think anyone who has problem with antibodies? Do you want me to go over antibodies, anyone? Anyone has doubts with antibodies? Yeah. So let me go to active versus passive. So quickly, what do we mean by active versus passive immunity, and what is immunization? Since Hiba is not able to speak, let me go to Atif. Atif, are you there?
Yes, sir. Immunization is of two types: active immunization and passive immunization.
Mhm.
In active
What is the
immunization,
difference between immunization and immunity?
I'm not sure, sir. I think in immunity, the
Mhm.
antibodies are generated in the body itself. In immunization, we are doing something to produce the antibodies. Something like that.
You are kind of correct. So immunity is already like it's natural, either in terms of innate or adaptive, but it's active or passive. So basically it's both active and passive immunity are based on antibodies. Immunization is another term given for vaccination. Okay, simply. So immunization means you're vaccinating a person to either help the person make its own antibodies or give a preformed antibodies into the person's body. Okay, that's the difference. Immunization is done. Active and passive immunity is either produced or passed on. Yeah, so what is the difference?
Yes, sir. So in active immunization, we are injecting something which will produce antibodies, like the dead pathogens, or like the I believe the RNA of the pathogen, something like that. So this will produce antibodies which can kill the pathogen. And in passive immunization, we are directly injecting antibodies. So this is like done for snake bites, which contains the preformed antibodies that attacks against the snake venom.
Yeah, so vaccination is active immunization. Okay. Whereas
Yes,
giving antivenoms, okay, antivenoms are an example. Or you must have heard the name antidote to any venom, right? Antidotes. When you inject that into the body, it is preformed antibody. So that is called passive immunization. Just like passive immunity, there is passive immunization. And just like active immunity, there is active immunization. Is it clear? So in case of COVID-19, our vaccines are all giving us active immunization. So these are mRNAs which stimulates our body to make antibodies of our own against the virus. In polio also, in hepatitis B, all these vaccines basically are active immunity. Okay, they provide active immunity. Is it clear? So remember these concepts because these will be asked in some different flavor. Then you will think that this is not a direct question from textbook. But the concepts remains the same. Is it clear, everyone? Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
So this one, Fatima, quickly, let's wind up allergies. What do you understand by allergy?
They're hypersensitive reactions or exaggerated response of the immune systems to certain antigens which are present.
Okay.
Allergies can be like can be by pollen grains, like animal dander, like animal fur, bird's feather, or like also some medicine,
Mm-hmm.
like penicillin.
So
Uh,
yeah, my question
uh,
is, does adaptive immunity has any role with allergy? Does adaptive immunity, where we make antibodies, does it have any role to play with immunity allergy? So my question is, can an organism like an insect show allergy? Do you understand the question, Fatima? Can insects show allergy to something?
no,
Why?
because they'll probably not have like antibodies which are
Mm-hmm.
antibodies which are produced in response of allergies.
So which are those? What are those antibodies?
IgE.
IgE, right? So IgE is responsible for initiating allergy, right? It is the antibody that is secreted in large quantity from the B lymphocytes, and they reach at the site of that entry of the allergen. It could be dust, mites, bird feathers, any food, alcohol, pollen, anything. So if you don't have this, you cannot activate allergy, right? So it is a hyper exaggeration of the adaptive immune system itself. Make sense, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Then you know the allergic
Sir,
symptom. Yes, Donna.
I have a doubt.
Mhm.
But like, I don't know how to explain it, but like I have pets myself, and I've noticed my pets like sometimes sneeze because something's irritating them. So that would not be considered as allergy.
Your pets, you mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it a cat or a dog?
It's a bunny.
It's a rabbit.
Yes.
Okay, so you mean to say that your rabbit sneezes?
Mm-hmm.
It's specific. Like, do you know? Have you figured out what is that specific allergen to which it sneezes?
Yes.
Yeah. What is it?
It's pollens, like pollen grains when.
Yeah. So it very well might have a pollen allergy because
So can animals also have allergies?
yeah, any organism that has adaptive immunity and can produce IgE type antibodies can have allergies.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But not sure that if the medicines that work for humans will work the same way for animals. So don't test it. Take it to a vet. Okay.
No, I don't. I
Yeah.
won't
So
want to test it.
basically for humans we take Allegra
Mm-hmm.
or antihistamines. These are the two kind of drugs that are taken by humans who have allergy against anything. So when they come in contact with their allergen, they take Allegra or antihistamines and that help. For bunnies, I'm not sure. Though they are mammals, it should help, but maybe the dosage or the type composition is different. They have different medicines, just to say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But yes, it is possible for your bunny to have an allergy. Okay. So is it just like so sometimes there's a difference between allergy and an animal's response to not let something enter in the body. So does it just sneezes 1, 2, and 3 and it's gone? The bunny is normal. Then it may not be allergy. It can just be like every time you put something like you touch a human nose or the nostril with a feather, every time, like 9 out of 10 times the human will sneeze. That doesn't mean that all those 9 humans have allergy. It's just the sneezing reflex. For that matter, there is something called, let me tell you, it's called Achu syndrome. It actually is called by the same name. So it's like an acute syndrome. I think one H or one O will be less, as I can say, but it's like it's the sound of sneezing, right? So in this, whenever a person is exposed to sunlight, like you're sitting in the room from dark, when you come to sunlight, your first contact with the sunlight, when your eyes see the sunlight, when it falls on your eyes, you sneeze. And every time it happens. It does not mean that you have allergy from the sun. You cannot have allergy from the sun. It simply means it's a reflex. It's a syndrome in which your sneezing reflex gets coupled with an external stimulus. So it could also be that in your bunny's case. Okay. A particular odor
Mm-hmm.
causes it to sneeze. But allergies are something more difficult to handle. So it will not just sneeze, it will keep sneezing for some time, and you can clearly see that it is uncomfortable, it is not well. That is allergy. So you can judge better. If the behavior changes, if you see that your bunny is not comfortable, it runs and hides somewhere, or it's not able to behave the same way. If it just 1 2 sneezes and then it's not back to normal, not going to that place again, it might just be a coupled reflex, that it does not like that smell of the flower, or because how do you know it's pollen?
I just assume it's pollen because my bunny says whenever it's near like a flower, and
Yeah,
we have
near
lots of
near a,
flowers.
near a particular flower or near any flower?
Any flower.
Any flower. I don't know. So and after that, is it okay? Is it behaves okay?
Yeah, it's okay now. We've removed the flowers. We don't have any plants anymore.
Okay, so when there were flowers, it was behaving like, could you see that it is in discomfort because of those
Very
flowers?
much. Yes.
Oh, so it also might be allergy. You can take to a vet and they can figure it out. Okay, only if you want to keep both flowers and bunny at your house.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyways, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so we know the mechanism that is important in allergic response. Allergen enters, you have some mast cells. Okay, so by the way, this is the mechanism figured out in mice, so it might hold true also for your bunny. In humans and mice, things are very similar, and also for a rabbit, because that's also a mammal. So mast cells are there. They secrete histamine and serotonin. So these two molecules, histamine and serotonin, especially histamine, stimulates the immune system unnecessarily and causes a hyperactive response, which is called allergy. Now, the antihistamine drugs go and bind to histamine and do not let it do its function, which is to stimulate the immune system. So, histamine is like a ligand. It goes and binds to some receptors in the immune system, in the immune cells, and causes stimulation and causes allergy. So if you do not allow histamine to go and do the function, you can suppress allergy. This is how the drugs work. Same thing for Allegra. Okay. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And I think human immune disorders, I'll give you time to just go through. Everyone is clear with AIDS? Any problem with the concept of immunodeficiency syndrome, which is AIDS? No? Okay, just remember that HIV attacks helper T cells, immunity goes down. Remember that HIV is a retrovirus, so it is capable of doing reverse transcription. And this part is important. So this is let's go over this as the last, then we'll do some questions. Okay, so Fatima, would you like to summarize this? The figure? Are you there, Fatima? I don't think Fatima can hear me. Atif, what about you? Let's summarize this HIV infection flowchart and then we'll do some questions.
Yes, sir. So, HIV or retroviruses in general infect the body by first entering the animal cell and they introduce the RNA into the cell. Then they produce viral DNA by reverse transcriptase, the special enzyme that they have, which they do reverse transcription and produce a viral DNA.
Mhm.
Then they incorporate this viral DNA into the host genome present in the nucleus of the cell. So through the process of transcription, the new viral RNA is also produced by this infected cell. And through this RNA, many new viruses are produced, and these viruses exit the cell and infect the other cells.
Right. So my question is, why is it important to produce DNA from RNA? Why can't the RNA just do its work? Because see, ultimately you are making a DNA. Then from the DNA you are again making RNA. So in the first place also RNA entered, right? The cell. Why to make a DNA at all?
So if it is incorporated into a genome, then millions of RNA can be produced, which will increase the infection.
Yes, perfect. So basically the whole idea here is to multiply. Okay, so millions of new RNA can be produced, which will make millions of new viruses. Okay, good. Okay, so I'll stop sharing this, and let me give you exactly 3 to 4 minutes, all of you, Fatima, Hiba, Donna, and Atif, to go over your notes, and then we'll start with questions. So what will it will be the same rule. Someone will read the question. You will get around 1 minute to write your right option in the chat, just to me. Okay. 4 minutes is okay for revision.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Go on. Okay, if anyone finds anything difficult while revising, they can tell me. Okay. Let's go with some questions, people. We can continue the discussion over the questions if you have doubt. Okay. Is everyone? Can everyone listen me? Am I audible to everyone?
So,
Yeah. Okay. Let me share the screen. Okay. So can you all see the screen?
yes, sir.
Let me make it a little big. Okay. So first is a very simple question. It came in neat. So I will ask one person to read the question, the options. Then all of you have to write me the answers in the chat. And if anyone feels that the question is difficult and you do not know the right answer, so you can write that you need discussion. Okay, we'll do that. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start with the first question and let's start alphabetically. I'll go to Atif. Atif? Will you read the
Yes,
first
sir.
question?
Transplantation of tissues or organs fails often due to non-acceptance by the patient's body. Which type of immune response is responsible for such rejections? Option A, cell-mediated immune response. Option B, hormonal immune response. Option C, physiological immune response. Option D, autoimmune response.
Yes. So that's correct option, Donna. Well done. Good start. I want everyone to give right answer to this and quick. Correct, Atif. You can recheck and be sure in your mind you have 1 minute. Correct, Fatima. Eva. Are you there, Hiba? Okay, so I have not received an answer from Hiba yet. And I don't know if she can hear me. So let's move forward from this question. Maybe she can't hear me. Okay, the right option is A, cell-mediated immune response. If this option is not there, then look for the option T lymphocyte-based immunity. If that is also not there, T cell-mediated immunity. Okay, makes sense, everyone? Okay, so question 7, Donna.
In higher vertebrates, the immune system can distinguish self cells and non-self. If this property is lost due to genetic abnormality and it attacks self cells, then it leads to A, autoimmune disease, B, active immunity, C, allergic response, and D, graft rejection.
Okay, so Fatima and Donna are the first one to fall for the trick and the pit. It's a simple question, just twisted. Ah, yes. Donna, course corrected. That is the right option, Donna. I hope you realize why the previous one is not the right option. So see, this is a simple question, but just twisted. Fatima, that's not the right option. Read the question again. So it's only useful to be fast if you are correct. Otherwise, it's a problem. Hiba, that's correct. Yes, Fatima, that's correct. Atif, I have not received Atif's answer or what? Okay, I've received Atif's answer. Yes, that is correct, Atif. So the correct option is A, autoimmune disease. It says that the system can distinguish self cells from non-self, right? So if this property is lost due to genetic abnormality, which means it is lost right from the birth, then it will lead to autoimmune disease because our own immune system will start killing our own cells if this property is lost. Okay, make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay. Question 8, Fatima.
If you suspect major deficiency of antibodies in a person, to which of the following would you look for confirmatory evidence? Option A, hemocytes. Option B, serum globulins. Option C, fibrinogen in plasma. Option D, serum albumin.
Albumin.
Sorry.
Yeah, albumins. Yeah. So this is a type of question which is not a direct question from NCERT, right, Fatima? That's why I asked you to read it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but you will realize that the answer is just related to what you have studied about antibodies. So what do you think? Read the question again, all of you, and then tell me the answer. Take some time, but be correct. Try to be correct. No problem if you are not. That's why we are having these classes. Let me give you all a hint. So if someone does not have antibodies, major deficiency of antibodies, okay, what are you going to test is the question. Okay, so you know what is antibodies, right? Antibodies are proteins. What kind of proteins that you're going to test will tell you if those protein levels are low, then your antibodies levels are also low. Yes, Donna, what you think is absolutely correct. Others? I've only received one answer. Yes, Fatima, that's correct. Do you understand, Fatima? So you just solved the indirect question correctly. You feel better? Confident? Atif and Hiba. No, that's not the correct option, Atif. Okay, time's up. So the right option is B, serum globulins. Hemocyte simply means blood cells. Fibrinogen helps in blood clotting, nothing to do with immunity, both of it. Hemocytes are RBCs, WBCs. By checking this, you can't tell what is the level of antibodies. Rest two options B and D are close. So remember, what is the full form of antibodies? IG stands for, this is where the hint is. What do we mean? What is the full form of IG, Fatima? IgA, IgG. What does IG means?
Immunoglobulins.
Exactly. Immunoglobulins. So if you check the total serum globulin level, it will also consist of immunoglobulins, IgA, G, D, and M. So if that total level is low, your IG levels will also be low. Okay? Atif, is it clear? Hiba?
So
Okay, great. So these kind of questions do come, but they are based on the concept that you have already studied in the class. Okay, quickly tell me the question, answer to question 9 also. Will you read it, Hiba? Can you read it? If I don't think so. Atif, will you read question 9 quickly?
yes, sir. Which of the following immunoglobulins constitutes the largest percentage in human milk? Option A, IgA, option B, IgG, option C, IgD, option D, IgM.
Yes. Correct, Fatima. Correct, Donna. Atif, that's not correct. Yes, Hiba, that's correct. So I told you also, always remember that the first antibody that is provided to a kid is from the mother through milk, which is IgA. And A is also the first letter of the English alphabet series. So that way you can remember. So the ABCD of immunity starts with IgA provided by mother's milk to a newborn baby. Okay, this way you will never forget. This is the first ABCD that we learn. Okay, from our mothers. We get IgA in colostrum. Is it clear, everyone? Just trivia to remember.
Yes.
Okay, again, the same question has come in a different way. Grafted kidney may be rejected due to cell-mediated immune response, right? You all know it. This question we have done before also, but multiple times this question has come but in different languages. Okay, now I'll do question 4. This is a concept based. So, Donna, will you read question 4?
Yes. Which of the following is correct regarding AIDS causative agent HIV? HIV is an enveloped virus containing one molecule of single stranded RNA and one molecule of reverse transcriptase. B, HIV is an enveloped virus that contains two identical molecules of single stranded RNA and two molecules of reverse transcriptase. C, HIV is unenveloped retrovirus, and D, HIV does not escape but attacks the acquired immune response.
Yes, tell me. Yes, Atif, that's correct. Oh, sorry. That's not correct. Sorry. I did not read the question properly. You have to figure out which is correct. And that's not correct, Atif, what you have selected. Yes, Hiba, that's correct. Correct, Atif. Correct, Fatima. Donna, waiting for you. Do you need?
So I posted my answer.
You posted? Yes, you have. That's correct. So all of you have correct. You have selected option B, which is correct. Remember that HIV does have a single stranded RNA, but it has two copies of it, two molecules of it. Okay. And because it has two molecules of single stranded RNA, it has two molecules of reverse transcriptase also. Each molecule encoded by each RNA. Okay. So B is correct. But in this question, have you read option D? Option D also seems correct to me. Doesn't it? HIV does not escape, but attacks the acquired immune response. It attacks the T helper cells instead of escaping them. And that's how it takes over the immune system. Correct? Is there any problem with that statement?
No, sir.
No, right? See, option A is incorrect for sure because it says one copy. Option C is also incorrect. It says unenveloped. No retrovirus is unenveloped. They are all enveloped. Okay. So B and D both are correct in this question. Okay, according to me. So there are many such questions, not many, but some questions could be. So those who have chosen B or someone who has chosen D, both will be given marks. Or what happens in exam is this question will be nullified from the exam and 1 mark will be added to everyone. That's what they do if this kind of question come, because still they have asked for one. Choose the correct, not multiple, but never choose multiple. Okay. Choose the one that you feel is the most correct. So in this, obviously B is correct. D is also correct. You know why D? You understand why D is also correct? So this just happened to be a case where two options are correct. Okay, it happens sometimes. Okay, question 5. Simple, very, very simple. Fatima.
Anti-venom injection contains preformed antibodies, while polio drops that are administered into the body contain option A, gamma globulin, option B, inactivated pathogens. Option C, activated pathogens. Option D, harvested antibodies.
They are just trying to trick you with the language. Well, it's a very simple question. I think you all are getting confused. Yes, Atif, that's correct. Others, correct. Don't know. Okay, Fatima is also correct. So the right option is option B, attenuated pathogens. If you select option D, then you are tricked by their first word. They just put antivenom injection to confuse you. Those who will not read the question carefully will think, oh, antivenom injection, okay, it is harvested antibodies. They are saying antivenom injection contain preformed antibodies, which is harvested antibodies, while polio drops that are administered into the body contain. So the whole question is about polio drop. They could also have asked simply polio drops which are administered contain, right? But no, they just gave you some extra information which is unnecessary to confuse you. So the right option is B, attenuated pathogen. Attenuated is half killed or heat killed pathogens, weakened pathogens. Is it clear, everyone? Heba, is that clear to you? Yeah, okay. Okay, so again, some questions which you will do easily. Let me go to some conceptually confusing questions. Okay, question 16. Atif.
At which stage of HIV infection does one usually show symptoms of AIDS? Option A, within 15 days of sexual contact with an infected person. Option B, when the infected retrovirus enters host cells. Option C, when HIV damages large number of helper T lymphocytes. Option D, when viral DNA is produced by reverse transcriptase.
No, Fatima, that's not correct. Yeah, Atif and Donna, that's correct. Hiba and okay, yes, that's correct option, Fatima. Good. Okay, so time is up. The right answer is option C. When HIV will damage a large number of helper T cells, then it will show the symptoms of AIDS, because AIDS is nothing but immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay, so only when a substantial number of helper T cells will die, you will start seeing the effects of immune deficiency. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, so I'll take one last question for today, and we'll continue this in the next class along with biotechnology. So Donna, will you read question 24?
Yes. Which one of the following is not a property of cancerous cells, whereas the remaining three are? A. They compete with normal cells for vital nutrients. B. They do not remain confined in the area of formation. C. They divide in an uncontrolled manner. And D. They show contact inhibition.
Mhm. Yes, very good, Hiba. That's correct. Right, Donna. Yes, correct, Atif. Fatima? Perfect. So it's option D, they show contact inhibition. No, they do not. Okay, rest all three are correct for a cancerous cell. So you all gave right answers and very quick. So we have a scope of one last question, which I have selected is to be question number this. So again, the question about T lymphocytes is asked in a different manner in question 32. Okay, so which of the following is incorrect about AIDS? So you will do that also easily. Let me go for this one. Question 34. Fatima, will you read? This is the last.
Select the correct statement from ones given below. Barbiturates, when given to criminals, make them tell the truth. Morphine is often given to persons who have undergone surgery as a painkiller. Chewing tobacco lowers blood pressure and heart rate. Cocaine is given to patients after surgery as it stimulates recovery.
Which one do you think is correct? This is more of like a logical question. Nothing about this has been talked in NCERT. Yes, Fatima. Right answer. Correct. Hiba and Donna, both of you are correct.